Hello, Andrew. How are you?
Living the dream. How are you?
Living the dream. I
Good to know
like your
you.
picture. Your new picture is awesome.
Thank you. I've had
Very
some
cool.
sticks today, but I don't care. You know me. I just don't care. I hope you're all doing okay.
Yes. I hope, Lucifer, you're doing fine. Lucifer. Marie, the dragon. Welcome, welcome. We're just going to give it a few minutes for, I hope we have a pill. What? Do we have a pill? Hi,
Yeah,
Irene.
online.
You can see one?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't see it. It's, always acting up. But the secretary, she's good at fixing that stuff. Um, just a few minutes, guys, and if you could retweet, that'd be wonderful. Everybody will be hopping in a sec.
I can't press the pill though. I can't put anything in it. So I think
Yeah, I mean, either that's this is not the last three spaces it's been doing this to me. Well, what are you gonna do? There's other ways we could put things up on the jumbotron. So let me do that now. I'm gonna put up our logo. I need one hot minute. Hi, Tommy. Okay. Yeah, all right. So I put the logo up top. It's just, we gotta work around not having a pill, but it'll be fine. Hey John. Tony, how are you? Hope everybody's well. How you doing, John?
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Governor.
Hello,
all right,
Governor,
Governor.
how are you? So how you guys doing? I think I'm gonna have some rain. Yay! Love the rain. No, I
We've
do,
been
because
doing the rain. We've been
it
doing the
doesn't.
rain then.
Yes, I was doing the rain dance. No, it just doesn't rain often here, so kinda love it.
Hello, Tish. I'm fine.
Hi,
How are you?
Tony.
How are
Good,
you?
thank you. Very good. Thank you for asking.
Hi,
That's
Tony.
good. Hi, John. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm in Mordor here, and I'm fine.
Fantastic. Well, I should say good evening then, because it's evening for you.
Yeah, it is.
Tony, how is the weather and the temperature in Mordor right now? How was your
Fi-
day
fi-
today?
It has been 15 degrees today, sunny, and everything is fine here. So,
15 degrees.
15, yeah.
Well, that's Celsius.
I
So,
know,
so we
and I'm
we have
trying.
winter now, Tish.
Well, if it's nice and sunny, I'm not going to try to figure the math out, but
No, but we live nearby the hell. Helsinki. So it's not.
okay.
It's really hot here in hell.
It is. It's yeah. I would assume so. That's funny. I can't stand the heat, guys. I can't. I hate the heat. I'd rather be in freezing cold and wear a bunch of clothes. But that's me. Right? I sound like Andrew, but that's me. Living the dream.
Where's
Always
Bob
wet
then?
and cold. Always wet and cold in Wales. Always.
Is it always cold in Wales? And rainy,
Yeah,
right?
I'm wet. I'm wet. If no one was living in modern day times, I say he'd live in Wales because we get like 360 days of rain.
Wow. Kinda crazy. I don't know if I could handle all that rain. Yeah, I like the rain, but not all that rain. That's a little much. Little
I can't
much.
stand the rain.
Against my
Hey,
window.
there's a song. Let's write
Good
a song.
song. That's a great song.
Yeah, it is.
Isn't that Seal? Is that Seal? Oh. Isn't that who sings that one?
Seal.
Oh, it is. Yes, yes, it is Seal.
Yeah.
He goes, or.
I have to make the noise. It was my mind. I'm sorry, guys. My mind's crazy. I'm insane. Insane with the membrane.
That's Cypress Hill.
There
Yeah.
we go, Peter. Peter calling it out.
A bit.
How are you, Peter?
I'm fine, very fine. And how are you guys?
Good, good, good.
Yeah, we were outside playing tennis today, Peter. So I'm fine.
Wow, okay.
No, I just, I'm just joking you.
Yeah, yeah. I picked up some cough from somewhere. I don't know where I
uh,
picked it up from.
uh,
So
Take some zinc, Peter. Right away,
I
as
have to.
fast
I
as you
have to
can.
order
Knock it out.
zinc. That's it. Thank you for the tip.
oh, now I see Mr. Matt Bombadil here.
Mop, Bombadil in the house.
Yeah.
And Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia.
Hey, John.
Welcome,
Hey,
Sylvia.
guys. How are y'all?
We're very
We
good.
are really good
Glad
today.
to meet you,
Just
Sylvia.
doing
Yeah.
peachy, y'all.
That
I
was
think it's the end of the full moon here now. So I'm feeling better now because I'm so when it's full moon I don't feel so good. But tonight I don't think that we have a full moon.
Well, that was the big one.
Yeah,
Did you see it? Like, you were able to
yeah.
photograph that
I
one. It was
I
so
have
big.
never
Yes.
seen a moon like that one. And
They were calling it the karmic moon.
yeah, and we had blood moon here. You know when it went red.
Wasn't it like really orange,
Oh, it
like a
did?
chunk of cheddar cheese?
Yeah, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
More
The
peachy.
parasites were feasting.
Yeah.
The crazies do come out during the full moon. That is a fact. Ask any police officer, they'll tell you, right? HPO, you know that. Let me tell you, Mike.
We can't even see the moon in Wales half the time. It's too cloudy. Too cloudy.
Sounds depressing. Andrew, get out of there.
It is depressing. But
Well,
it's a
hello.
beautiful country, but like it's run by a bunch of morons and it's always cold and wet. So yeah, I love my country, but it could be better.
Welcome, Mr. Mott. Is your mic working, sir?
Good afternoon, dear Tish. Good afternoon, John. Good afternoon, Secretary, and our guest speaker, Sylvia. Welcome to this space. Yes, my mic is hopefully working. Otherwise, I am doing the intro without anybody listening. But I hope that it works. So wherever you are on this little planet, on the ball of, well, mainly water, actually, and waterways are important. That is swirling around in a big, big universe, not really knowing where we are going, but we for sure know where we've been. And that is also a song, actually. So, welcome, Andrew, Tony, Peter, HBO, GG71, Sticky, Elna, Jessica, Michelle, Stefan, Yvonne, Green, Loves Something, Anja, Lucifer, Irene, Parody, Christina, Marie, Jennifer, Joachim, Listig, or illistig, as we say in Swedish, or illistig, which means, well, that is a translation that is probably a bit hard. I will check that one out for later. So I think today is going to be a great space. The intro will be, from my part, a whole lot of nuking and suicide by nukes, which we sort of invented the last time. And Zelensky followed it up and made a suicide by nuke. Just as Mr. Trump said, our, well, hopefully president now or to be again or whatever, doesn't really matter. He is an iconic person and he's done, well, a whole lot of stuff. And he met Zelensky, and when they met, Zelensky said to Trump, Trump said, well, I find your argument reasonable. Zelensky said, either Ukraine will develop their own nukes, which we already have sort of hint, and or we will have to join NATO right now, sort of. And this bomb Zelensky left of a statement, this bomb of a statement, this nuke bomb of a statement, the same statement he made in Brussels. He said, either Ukraine is going to go nuclear, nukes, bombs, whatever, or we have to be in the NATO. This is it. He said, where do we have to go? Where are we supposed to go? And
I'm sorry, Mott. Did Zelensky said that?
yeah,
Either he's in NATO or okay.
or he's gonna go nuclear. And a couple of months ago, according to the German outlet of the Bild, like called Bild, like picture, actually that's what it means in German. Big newspaper in Europe. It's been there forever and ever. They say that they had a source inside the Ukrainian top government that says we have nukes in 2 weeks or whatever. So this is, we are at the precipice of nukes, suicide by nukes. We are suicidal by nukes. This is, it's actually quite strange that we are in this situation. It was pretty, we could see it coming. This is why I've been talking about what I've been talking about. This is why Trump has said the public, and especially the US public, will have to realize, comprehend, understand. Actually, he used understand, I think, to be quoting him most correctly, but understand the true nature and purpose of nuclear weapons. Of the nuclear weapon, he said, of the nuclear weapon. So this goes back to the history that we've been telling you guys time and time again. This is important. The truth about the emerging of, well, let me put it this way. We have the Titanic that had to submerge for the Fed to emerge. On the other hand, or in the, let's call it the prolonging of the Titanic submerging. We have Hiroshima and Nagasaki being vaporized in order to see the Cold War or the Cold War narrative, which the oligarchy could use for decades and decades and decades, for the military industrial complex to grow as the cancer, well, not mentioning Otto Warburg and his Merchant of Death Prize, the Nobel Prize for his discovery of cancer versus, well, the cancer that really loves sugar, refined sugar or refined sugar. I have always a problem with pronouncing that correctly. I think it's a Mordorian thing, I guess. So, and he receives,
No,
of course.
that was perfect. Refined sugar. That's absolutely correct.
Thank you, Jan. And this is in 1931. And then, well, the Bank for
And
International.
Mott, real quick too, I just want to add. So, in context, when you think of refining in a refinery, in oil refining, in allopathic medicine, as they call it, which is the Rockefeller Medical Institute of Things, it has a lot to do with petroleum-based medicine, which, once again, the refining of what is natural to a synthetic form.
Yeah, this is what they do. And of course, none less and the equal to the Rockefellers is the Nobel family doing the oil thing. And in Europe, the process even went sort of, not in all European countries, but in quite a few of them, the oil-based medical industrial complex went quite quick as well. So, well, with that said, let's not forget about that. But Rockefeller really made and by the way, Rockefeller also, he founded, the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, where Lise Meitner was working, together with Prescott Bush. So suddenly we go full circle around, because on the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, well, Otto Warburg was working there, the Nobel Prize laureate of the sugar cancer, which is, a rather big thing actually when it comes to our habit of eating and so on. But anyways, so at this point, we are all getting very aware of nukes all over the place. And that takes us to the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, to Lise Meitner, to the Nobel Prize Committee. She was actually, well, first she was working at the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute. She and her partner, Otto Hahn, most likely, according to me, received as a gift from nowhere, from above, whatever you want to call it, a whole lot of research, which probably put them to be the world leaders on this topic. And that most likely, 99.99%, was the research of the founder, the brilliant scientist Birkeland of the nuclear material of uranium. So at this point in time, Lise Meitner, well, actually it's just a few years after Otto, and this is the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, so there are a lot of Nobel Prize takers there. It's Einstein and so on and so forth. This is the devil's think tank. This is the IG Farben, American IG, Swedish IG, and all their bankers, allied bankers, their evil think tank. Even Mengele is connected to this think tank. And this is Dr. Mengele. This is the Mengele in the Holocaust camps, built by IG Farben, American IG and Swedish IG, and their bankers. That is the Holocaust. This is the corporations hiding behind trusts and banks and whatever, and you know, the art of cloaking proxy after proxy after proxy, you know, but they are not hiding that much, not during this point in time. So this is the reason why we have this narrative of the Holocaust and anti-Semitism thrown at us every day in our lives, from school and moving forward, but never do they tell us that it was the corporations that is still existing today. They traded with people, with slave labor, with children, and so on, even back then. They never stopped. You just go back to the East India Company, that is the predecessor to the mention of the IG Farben and American IG and Swedish IG, and then you go to the Vikings and some other, and then you go to the Romans, and you check out the Pope. No wonder why the Pope were, you know, under siege for 300-400 years, something like that, by the Vikings back in the day, in the early counting of time, from around year 200, let's say from 500 to 800 in a very specific way, by Tisha's heritage, by the Longobards. So it goes way back, it goes deep, they were probably more reasonable than today's banking hegemony, corporatism, and so on. I think they were quite much more straightforward and honorable people. I would imagine that, at least. So the Nihon Hidan Koyo is probably a correct pronunciation in English for this, the Japanese organization receiving the Nobel Peace Prize, just as Obama, just as Woodrow Wilson, just as FDR, and so on and so on and so on. The list just goes on and on and on and on. If they didn't receive the Nobel Prize, they received the Seraphim Order. That goes for the Japanese Emperor of Hirohito as well. When he turned 18, he had to travel to the way up north, to the center of your map. Open your map book. Look at what is in the center. Even the US debt clock, which is quite an iconic account these days, they pretty much put that little, inventor of nukes, of social engineering, of our social security numbers, of the trade, corporatism to all costs, the best propaganda organization ever, the rulers of Delaware, the corporatism's heartland, the true oligarchy. This is where we are at now. The Nihon Hidan Koyo receives the Nobel Peace Prize, the Merchant of Death Prize. And we are then full circle because employed by the Nobel Peace Prize Foundation, the Nobel Prize Foundation, the Nobel Foundation is Lise Meitner, the mother of the nukes. So this is now suicide by nukes. We will play and have a world premiere on that song as soon as we can get it uploaded and working, which is not the case at this moment, so we will have to wait for that just a little bit. And with that said, Sylvia, you know that the first Nobel Peace Prize laureate is the Red Cross. We will return to the mother lode of all nefarious NGOs. We will do that. In their footsteps, we could just mention Clinton Foundation and so on and so forth. But on the other side of this, we have, well, the sister to this mother, the governmental equals created by Axel Oxenstierna's Stockholm bureaucracy, the same procedure almost as the nefarious NGOs have, according, and even so more powerful in many cases, more evil than the NGOs. Well, it's the same. It's just evil. It's just corporatist evil. This is the last outstretch, not the last, but the furthest outstretch of the evil corporatism. It's about the children. We will get there because this is what it has happened for real. And it's happened with inside the government in a large scale. I will give you the example that nobody except the Swedes will believe it, but actually the current Swedish PM is a suspect in child trafficking from Chile and from China. This is the Swedish current Prime Minister, and the Swedes are just looking the other way. This is beyond stupid. Even a Swedish mainstream media, which is like the propaganda ministry 101, have tried to shake some life into what probably is the world's most indoctrinated people. Well, the US is not far from it, but you've been hit by the Operation Follow pretty heavy ever since, somebody made you use the nukes on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Your oligarchy is the friends of the Swedish oligarchy. They are connected at the hip. This is Varberg, this is Schiff, this is Morgan, this is all of the big ones in the US corporatism. They are connected to the Swedish oligarchy with super duper everlasting, flexible and rigid at the same time, super duper glue of evilness, of greed, of despise for humanity, and what seems to be an urge for controlling or using the children. With this said, John, Sylvia, take it away, because Oxenstierna's governmental doctrine of an overreaching government with corrupted people, selected corrupted people, selected to the Ivory League, selected because of their greed, selected of their lack of humanity, to be the ones controlling us. Who are they to be given that power? They are nothing, and this is what we have now in 2024 or in 2023, or whenever we realized it. But we are realizing this. People are waking up out of their comatose sleep of comfort. The comfort model out of Sweden. This is used also by the child traffickers and so on and so forth. That is the comfort model. The stories we will probably hear now, I'm not sure where we are going now, but I have a hunch that this will hurt you, hurt your feelings, hurt your intellectual capacity of comprehension. So, Sylvia, John, please go ahead, and the room is yours. I will crash my banged up old F-16 straight into the Monvik Castle, loaded with some stinky Nobel Merchant Prize of Death dynamite. Kaboom!
Kaboom, kaboom. You got to do the three, Matt.
Kaboom, kaboom.
That was actually a perfect intro, Matt. So much of history has to be revealed. It's such a tell for the future. So I appreciate that perfect segue. And I just want to add before Sylvia, you take the floor, that we should do a song clip. And every time Obama's name is mentioned, we could do like Obama, 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 Obama. I don't know, just a thought. If anybody can get on that, or maybe just record me doing that.
Do it again and I'll record it.
It's a
Obama,
recorded space, Matt.
Obama,
Go back and
Obama,
click.
Obama, 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 Obama. We could do like a Beach Boys theme to it too. It'd be like, Obama. All right, Sylvia, the
Yes.
floor is yours. Thank you so much for all that you do and for joining us today. I greatly appreciate your courageousness and your efforts in the fight to end trafficking for all of humanity. And I couldn't be more grateful and humbled to be joining in the fight with you, as well as so many amazing, amazing people here. So, Sylvia, I will let you have the floor and introduce yourself and take it away.
Thank you, John. And thank you, Mott. I'm learning so much from you guys. There's so much history that we truly don't know, don't understand. And I'm hoping today that people hear from my testimony that this is not about me. It's about the foster care system, what it's doing to the children, how it is not safe for children. And the longer that we allow it to continue, then children are going to be trafficked. And this is just what I learned from working in the system. So I'm going to try to break it down so that you understand exactly what it's like for the children and the adults. I came from a pretty conservative family, so I was never around like gang affiliations, gang members, anything like that. And I actually did not know anything about gangs until I worked in the foster system, which is way backwards, if you ask me. But I started working at Elts Aidmore Group Home. It was group home for girls ages 12 to adults. And this is where I learned about the Bloods, the Crips. And so there's a lot of gang affiliations that go on in the group homes. And what I first started noticing when I got there, it was a very small group home. It had like 4 children, and they were what we called base. So I want to talk about the money too, because it's all how they do the money is by the behaviors of the children. So when I started, it was base children, meaning that they didn't really have behaviors as in being defiant. They followed the rules. They weren't suicidal. They weren't runaways, things like that. But within a few months, the group home changed from base to what we would call an MWO. MWO is where they have behaviors such as running away, self-harm, suicidal ideations, things like that. And the group homes receive more money for MWOs. Now, the reason that they say it's more money is because children with trauma, they need more help, therapy, things like that. So they say, they need more money to take care of the child. However, that money does not go to the child, that goes to the agency. So it started out base, and then it moved to MWO, and then there are a few other codes, like if they're sex trafficked, if they're sexually abused, they're going to get more money. So the first thing that I noticed was that the kids that were coming in were all sexually abused or sex trafficked. And that's the first time that I ever realized that the United States had a problem with sex trafficking, because I was just a regular person who didn't know anything about the foster system, who wasn't looking in the foster system, who didn't really have any experience in it, right? So we assume that the people that are in these organizations, the NGOs, the nonprofits, the group homes, are people with integrity, with ethics, with morals. And that's not the case at all. So what I saw was that they were sexually abused, sex trafficked, and then they all came in with psychotropic medication. So this was something else that I didn't agree on, because a lot of these kids, they're young. And now the group home was 12 years and up, but as soon as they come in, they put them on everything for insomnia, for anxiety, you name it. There's a medication. So they're on like 3 or 4 medications that are combined. And then the other thing that people don't realize is that the anxiety medicine, antidepressant medications actually make them aggressive, and it makes them suicidal. So they were sexually abused, they were on medications, and then there was a lot of runaways. And then this is another thing, and everybody can go to my website. If you go to rescuethefosters.org, everything that I'm saying is documented. And if you go to resources, I actually have a resource page that lists podcasts, that lists the runaway policy for Georgia, which is across pretty much every 50 state. It's the same, what I've learned. And so you can click on all those buttons on the website, and you'll see the policies, you'll see the procedures, you'll see all of that. So in the state of Georgia, say at a group home, if a child is having a bad day, then they'll say, I'm done with this and I'm out of here. And you literally have to allow the kid to walk out the door. You cannot stop them. We were told if we even physically stopped them, that we would be arrested. So you would let them go, and kids are smart. Like that's who I learned everything from, was the kids. But once they're gone, like once they take off, then, I assumed that I was going to call 911. And then, no, you don't call 911. You call the local police, and which it makes it not urgent, which makes them come, very slow. And then you just give a police report. They put them on a BOLO, which is a be on the lookout. They might search around for like 20 minutes, but if you don't find that child within the next 2 miles, they're gone. And a lot of times those kids did not come back. A lot of times they did come back because of the weather. So like if it was raining, it was cold, they didn't have food, things like that, then they would come back. But literally, if you are a trafficker, you could sit right outside of a group home and see these kids. These kids are running away nonstop, and you don't hear about it because there's no 911 call, there's no Amber Alert, there's no missing report. They're not even listed as missing. They're listed as a runaway. So literally, what we would do is I would try to drive around and talk them to come back, but if they were gone, they were gone. We might see them, we might not. This is another way that the trafficking is done. For like some of the girls that come in, they're off the streets and they have pimps. And say a girl will talk another girl into running away with her, and then they'll turn them over to the pimp, and then the pimp will put them out on the streets. There were instances where this one girl, she had a warrant out for her arrest. So she was arrested in juvie. Now CPS would not pick her up. They would not bail her out, but the pimp did. So as soon as she's in jail, the pimp is there picking her up and she's on the street again. So there's many different ways of how trafficking is done through group homes. It's not a black and white thing. It's not like, it's just so much to like understand it, but it's through the gang affiliation, it's through pimps, it's through and on these nonprofits, you don't even know who's running these nonprofits. A lot of them are gang members and traffickers. So my experience of working in the group home was like trying to keep the child safe, like first of all, there's gangs, there's fights, there's runaways, there's self-harm. And then so there was this incident where there was a gang initiation, and it was three girls. Two of the girls, one of the girl, it was late at night. I come in the next morning, and the girls tell me that the night before that these two girls tried to suffocate this girl in her sleep as a gang initiation. So, and they almost they were really suffocating her. They could have killed her. But also during that night, there was property destruction. They tried to steal a car and all of this. So they send me to take one of the girls to speak to a detective because you have to report it. Now, a lot of this stuff is not reported, okay? And it's also reported only as it's supposed to be, like policy or procedure. So they don't really put in the documentation of what really happened. It's a false narrative. So I'll give you an example. Like if there's a fight, you have to take them down with a CPI, like it's crisis prevention intervention. Okay, if you've ever seen a fight, there's not a lot of times that you can do that because girls are kicking, screaming, they're kicking, they're hitting, like you can't do that. But when they write up the report, it's going to say that the girls were taken down in a CPI and it'll list it. It's a lie. Okay, so I'm at this detective and he starts asking this girl about the night before with the destruction, the property destruction, and the car breaking in. But he doesn't mention anything about the suffocation. So I'm like, wait a minute. Why aren't you asking about her being suffocated? Because to me, that was more important. Okay, who cares about the property destruction? That's replaceable. But this child was terrified because she almost died in her sleep because she woke up to three girls on top of her trying to suffocate her. And he's like, wait a minute. He goes, that's not in my report. And I'm like, okay. So he stops it and he literally is like, okay, we need to go in and investigate. So I'm feeling really proud of myself because I get this detective into the group home to investigate this gang initiation. Well, that is not what else Aidmore wanted. So I get a call late at night and the director is like, what is your intentions? And I was so confused because I was like, what do you mean? What are my intentions? You told me it was reported. If it's reported, I have no intentions, right? So I don't know. I have no intention. So she literally hung up, and the next day I get called into the office and I'm written up. So I'm written up on medical error. They did like an evaluation. They brought me into the room. They literally lie straight to your face. But this incident caused me to think, all right, you need to get out of this group home because something bad is going to happen to a child and they're going to blame you. And you're never going to be able to work in the field. You're probably going to end up in prison for something you didn't do. So I applied for another job going into casework. So my official title was family consultant. And I was thinking, all right, this way I won't be in the cottage. I won't be in there. I won't be able that, they won't be able to blame me for something. But casework was way more difficult. Like it was insane. So this is where I learned about the money part. So as a caseworker, when a child comes in, you have to fill out what they call a waiver. And that waiver is how they receive their funding. Okay, so the funding is given per child according to the behaviors of the child. So if you have a base child, you're going to get, when I left the system, it was about 130 per child per day on a base. But if you had an MWO kid, it was like 200 per day per child. If they were sex trafficked, if they were sexually abused, it was even more. Now, so you'd fill out these waivers, you'd say their behaviors, and then we had quotas. And you can go to my website. This is all on the website. You'll see quantity versus quality, because I wrote an email to my director, it was actually the CEO, saying that we shouldn't be focused on bringing in children. We should be focused on the quality of care, because these kids, first of all, they were having issues being away from their parents. They were all on these medications. So I was thinking, like, we need less children in care. If there's less children in care, then we can give them the help, especially if they're sexually abused or sex trafficked, things like that. So, and you can see the quota. So we had quotas, and this was a strong quota. Like, I was in cells before I was in the foster system, and it was even more strict than that. Like, it was a constant pressure every day. They even
So
had,
Sylvia, let me stop you there real quick. So
yeah,
when you're talking about quotas, so now uh, I like to look at that as far as, a little bit of my sales background and just like having a number to reach as far as like you have to, high pressure sales sort of environment. That's what I think of when you speak of quotas. So is that what
mm-hmm.
they were actually making you do?
Yes, so they would say, all right, we have 88 children in this office, because there was 4 offices. So there was one in Conyers, Valdosta, Savannah, and Dalton. So they would say, all right, we have 88 children in Conyers, and our goal is 100. So, yeah, and you, John, I can put it, I don't know how to put it in here, but I can. It's listed on my website. So it literally
So Sylvia,
lists,
the best thing that, sorry to interrupt, the best thing to
yeah,
do if you want to share something, I'm pretty quick with it. If you want to just shoot it my way, I can screenshot it and then put it in the nest or the purple pill.
okay.
Um,
I'll do it right now.
if you have an image, or if you just want to screenshot it, send it to me and I'll do that. Um,
Yep.
and actually, it looks like, oh, we don't have a purple pill, do we?
What is a purple pill?
No. We don't have one.
Okay, I'll throw it up in the next.
Yeah, in the Jumbotron, if you could put it up there.
I'm not sure what a purple pill is.
Well, it
It's
could be a
okay, because
couple
we're
different
missing
things.
one.
I'm sure there's a pimp that might know what a purple pill is, but AstraZeneca also knows what a purple pill is. So for this commercial break, brought to you by AstraZeneca, Nexium, the purple pill. And this is not
Necessary
promoted.
progress will bring you the purple pill. Actually, Sylvia, with that
Yeah.
regard, we have the world premiere song moving in, but the purple pill is actually where you post your X post with inside the space, and the jumbotron is the one above the head of our dear hosts. That means Tisha, John, and the secretary. On top of them, you have the jumbotron, just as in the football stadium or in the hockey arena. And believe it or not, I was going to play that world premiere, but since actually there is, you might have missed that one. So we are going to a commercial break. We are going to play. We will warm up with the song from that actually includes the purple pill, more or less a little bit of instruction book. So by Desperado/Alien Innocent, here comes actually a song about Bombadil and the purple pill. Enjoy and shake up the blood stream.
And your booty.
In a purple pill for folks who get their fill. Morning starts with his voice. He makes the world rejoice. Doesn't complicate the choice. His words so precise. My Bombadil. Gonna make you feel the thrill. Every headline, every spill. He delivers with a chill. People gather around and listen. Every bit of news he's dishing. Gives the facts without omission. Keeps it simple, no division. Radio waves he controls. News and stories, heart and soul. Purple pill makes us whole. Tom's the one who holds the goal. My Bombadil. Gonna make you feel the thrill. Every headline, every spill. He delivers with a chill. Radio waves he controls. News and stories, heart and soul. Purple pill makes us whole. Tom's the one who holds the goal. My Bombadil. Gonna make you feel the thrill. Every headline, every spill. He delivers with a chill.
Purple pill.
Beautiful.
So,
Courtesy of Desperado.
yay, and I see Bobby down here as well. So, without further ado, thank you very much, gentlemen. You have made a song that really made the secretary really, really happy. That's been pouring in DMs about this. And I cannot say anything else. If you check up in the Jumbotron, you will see there is a little something from back in 2005. This is just a couple of years after that. The US and the West, the oligarchy, you could say, together, the West, official narratives as the West, the US, or whatever. I say the oligarchy, the Swedish and American oligarchy and their subordinates, which is spread out all over the place. They broke the Budapest Treaty of Budapest, which says that no country were, allowed to meddle in the internal business of, that should be, you don't have to have a real, but to meddle in the former Soviet states. No of the West countries or, would be allowed to meddle in those countries because they should stay outside. They should stay as neutral as possible with no nukes, the disarmament of nukes and so on. Just a couple of years after that was in the mid-90s. Just a couple of years of that, Soros was very active in Ukraine. Things were starting to happening, taking up speed. There was a growing ground or a soil for growing within the Nazi thing that really never, the Nazi narrative never left Ukraine. It stuck there. It was blue and yellow, just as they started out once in a time longer back. There is an article up there which will concern, and it's actually a BBC article from 2000. This is very strange, but it is what it is, about the children, the small children being stolen and used. It's quite a read. It's no point in going into it, but we are going full circle because now we are back to Zelensky, nukes or NATO. He's putting out the ultimatum and he's walking it back, but he's putting it out there. He's, he's playing his part in this, just as he played an actor. He is an actor. He was an actor playing the president in the very popular TV series, The Servant of the People, playing the president of Ukraine. Then he just moved in to be the president of Ukraine with the same entourage, financed by Kolomoisky, Ihor Kolomoisky, which probably is sitting under the Department of Justice or the Space Force or whatever. I think he's in the US. We really don't know. And he's the guy running the Privat Bank out of Cyprus, owning Burisma, financing Hunter Biden and Kerry's daughter or son or whatever, this ordinary American oligarchy, their heritage, useless kind of, I don't know. They are not people to me. They are just sad. They are sad.
Ma, remember what they did in Haiti with the children, with the Clinton Foundation when they got caught trying to smuggle the kids over the border?
Yeah, and that was...
And that woman was pardoned by Clinton.
Yeah, as per
FYI.
As per usual. And Clinton they are subordinates to the real oligarchs. So we are making that statement very clear. But right now, I would say that they are these evil sub-oligarchs. They are forced into a corner. Somebody's playing this very well. And somebody that is playing and writing music very well, it's our dear Bobby. He says, and our own desperado, Alien Innocent. And they join forces out of the lost space we run, where this, the synergy, the energy is coming up. And we have a song, we have a world premiere. It is posted below the call for the space, the X post for the space, as an alternative to the purple pill. You can actually put your stuff there so we can go back and read it. Otherwise, we will put the stuff for the space up in the Jumbotron. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, in the space of Tisha Lee, John Matthews, and the secretary, with special guest speaker, Sylvia. We are now going to have world premiere of Suicide by Nukes, Alien Innocent, and Bobby Pissas. Here we go.
Some have it all, others just want some. The wealthy countries all 1% of one, leaving the rest of us outside in the cold. A bad sign, heavy water, dirty nukes. On whose dime? Yours or mine? Suicide by nukes. On big money's mind. Wall Street sets the tone for us to live. Those who have the most refuse to give. Paychecks are smaller, benefits hard to find. Suicide by nukes wins a Nobel Peace Prize. Using your diamond notes, suicide by nukes. On big money's mind. Forces a million, shout out as one. Maybe they'll share wealth when all is said and done. From New York to LA, from Portland to Maine. We are all so blind. Those who have it all have dirty nukes already aligned. Suicide by nukes on big money's mind. Using your diamond mind. Suicide by nukes on big money's mind. From the hills of Virginia, Florida, and beyond, let's stand tall and never push this movement on. Freedom is a hungry nation, let's picture this time, because it's suicide by nukes on big money's mind. They are using your diamond mind. Suicide by nukes on big money's mind. Big money's mind is spiritually blind. Let's join hands together in one mind. In our great land, compassion wins every time. The U.S. will return again, will prosper in kind. The U.S. will return again, will prosper in kind, because everything is on the line. Believe with me, let's operate power from on high, because suicide by nukes is on big money's mind. Using your diamond mind. Suicide by nukes wins a Nobel Peace Prize. Suicide by nukes on big money's mind.
Well done. We lost Bobby. Must have fallen out, but he that organically was written in one of these spaces, which is amazing.
Yeah, it was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, he just wrote it
As the
during the
space was
space.
going on, he just wrote it.
Unbelievable. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. That was such a great rendition. Great job.
This is the organic. This is us. We, the people taking over the music, the making. The young ones, they are not Hollywoodified anymore. They have let go of that. They can see through it. So this is Bobby PSS and Alien Innocent, aka Desperado 888. Give them a follow. These guys are amazing. And we can see this happening everywhere. This is organic. This is like Sylvia and John getting together, exposing what we all know, but that many others need to know. They need to comprehend. And this is the way we do it. We circumvent the narrative, just as Bobby and Desperado did. And they found a lyric from just one quote. And I'm so proud that these guys picked it up, They picked it up. They picked the energy up. We are atomic energy. We cannot be stopped because we are so many thousands, and yet in the thousands, that are loaded with Birkeland's spirit of the atomic energy for the people. Well, we are the atomic energy. We will prevail. This time around, it is different. I am truly, truly convinced in my heart that we will prevail this time. We need to keep on running up that hill, but we are not running up the hill to save ourselves. We are running up the hill to get over the hill so we can take the fight on level grounds. And we are getting there. We are for sure getting there. Thanks to people like Sylvia speaking out, giving you the facts from boots on the ground. World premiere, Bobby Pisas and Alien Innocent, suicide by nukes. And this is what is happening. Actually, they are nuking themselves in both feet at the same time. With that said, I'm gonna crash my banged up old rusty Su-37 straight into the west wing of the Monvik Castle, loaded with some really heavy, stinky, boiling Nobel, aka the Merchant of Death Prize dynamite. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom!
Boom!
Shakalaka.
Boom shakalaka.
Hi, I finally got back. I kept
Bobby, you made it back. Welcome. So what did you think? I thought it was fantastic.
You like the song, huh? I thought you did.
Oh, love it,
Well
love it. The
done,
lyrics
Bobby.
were great. What do you think of the rendition? How did it turn out?
Oh, he's excellent, man. He's like top notch all the way. And I was like, Annie heard it and she went, "Wow, he caught the whole thing, didn't he?" I said, "Yep, he sure did." He caught every nuance of those words and delivered them right straight to your heart, if you have a heart to hear, And I was like, I was taken back because he floored me, really. I mean, I worked with some great musicians, and he's. I already said him a thank you and all that, but yeah, it's really, really touching what he did with that. I think he hit a home run.
I think you both did. I think you both did. And when something happens so organic, so natural, so just not even thinking about it. Like when you dropped out, we were just talking about how you literally just wrote that in the space last week, and how it was just turned around, put together, and it just happened. It flowed, and it's because You know, obviously, just like words, just like feeling, just like sound, vibration, frequency, it takes the path of least resistance, and there was no resistance because it wasn't just off the cuff, it was just pure, and it just was allowed to happen, and because it was allowed to happen, boom, it was just made, and it couldn't have been any better. I love it, and I'm so appreciative of you guys so much. So, great job.
I want to thank Desperado, man. You blew me away. This guy's talented, and so I would love to do an album with you. It'd be kind of fun. I have all these songs, and been working on. I don't know how busy the room is, but let me know when it's time. And I have a song I've been working on. I think everybody ought to hear, but not right this second. Until my wife gets in with dogs. Okay.
I surely hope we can get some acoustic from you, Bobby, later on in this space. I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful that I can inspire a little bit as an individual to people, many people doing stuff. That is my mission. If I can spark a little bit in the hearts of just one person or two or three or whatever, that is, that is what I want to do. I want to dissolve myself. I want to be unnecessary. That has been to share and to be unnecessary. When you feel you are not needed anymore, you can move forward, or you can go rest, or you can do whatever. But I will not rest until we are on the level grounds on this hill. I will push you up this hill. I will crawl up, and I will drag you up this hill, so we get onto the level grounds with these nefarious people systemizing, using lawfare, the lawfare of commerce. John, you know exactly what I speak about. We will not go into that because we have Sylvia here. So we go to the testimony. And Bobby, thank you very much. I'm so honored. And Desperado is hanging around down here, listening in. You guys, you are connected now, so stay connected. The secretary will take care of you. And what I can see, I can see something. If Bob Geldof tell me why I don't like Mondays, if Bob Geldof could create a massive movement, of course, maybe with good intentions, but also as per usual, taking over or being a distraction, whatever. But if he could do that, we can do it as well. There might be a glimpse of an opportunity, a spark of a whole lot of musicians getting together and, well, for once do a real freedom song concert movement, free thinking movement because the music is very important. There's been so many great minds among the musicians that have tried to tell us, just as Bobby has been trying to tell his story, which is, well, a bit of a story, we could easily say, a bit of a story that tells the dark side of it, just as Sylvia is telling us about the real dark side, seen with her own eyes. So Sylvia, we leave the room to you and Jon to continue with your, let's call it an affidavit from the real world. And it's not a pretty one, but it needs to be told. And it needs to be heard in our hearts and in our minds. Sylvia, please go ahead. John, I rest my
Yeah,
case.
interrupt. Me and Annie have to take the dogs out, so I'll be back in about 10 minutes, okay?
Okay.
You're welcome, Bob.
No problem, Bobby.
John, did you want to say something? I sent John the quotas because it does have goals. So it basically say per cottage we have this many kids and our goal is this many kids. So then you can see like if we reach that goal or not. So that was a huge pressure that was put on.
Yep, and Sylvia, I put that up in the nest, or the jumbo booty, as I call it, above, so that if somebody wants to look at that, it's the first one on the left-hand side.
Yep. So I think it's pretty easy to read, right, John? Like I mean, like it literally says goal, and then this is the number, and then this is how many kids. So that was a lot of pressure that was put on, and then also like there's a lot of stories I could go into, but I know we don't have a ton of time here. But what was happening was that I was being pressured to bring in kids, and it didn't even make sense to me because I didn't understand how we could bring in kids. Because I was like, if I see a kid on the street and I go and grab that kid is not on my caseload because that's not how it works. Like that's the way my mind was thinking. Like, how does this even work? So they would say, well, you have to call the caseworkers. So what the way that they have it set up is that they have so you have caseworkers in the nonprofits, you have caseworkers in the government. So you got two caseworkers. So they would tell you to call the government caseworker and say, hey, we have space. Do you have any kids? And that's how they bring the kids in. So I was getting pressured and I was refusing to go along with some of the narratives. So I was getting beat up. So I was put on leave twice. One time I was put on leave for 3 days. And it was because I refused to write a false report. And so they bring me into the room and they tell me that I'm hallucinating and I need to take time off because I'm burnt out. Another time, they put me on leave to make a point, actually. It was a 30-day leave. And so I'm fully not understanding why they're beating me up because I'm trying to help kids and I'm trying to reunite kids and I don't understand it, right? So I was like, well, if I could just see what these parents, like the parents' paperwork, because I could only see our paperwork. I couldn't see the parents' paperwork. So I went online. Actually, it was on Twitter, and I had this class in social work, and it was basically 40% of our grade was we had to go on Twitter and we had to make posts and stuff like that. So I go on there and I type in CPS, and all of these families started coming up of how their children were taken on caseworkers falsifying documents, lying under oath. And so I started reaching out to these families. This was in 2019. And so I wanted to see their paperwork for myself. One of the first people I talked to was in Colorado. And Danielle Hollum was the first parents I met in Marietta, Georgia. And so I meet them in Marietta, Georgia, and she shows me her paperwork and it's all fraud. And I'm like, this is fraud. Literally, the social worker signed the birth certificate at the hospital and walked out with her baby at a day old, 33 hours old to be exact. And I met her in 2019. Her baby was born in 2016, October 10th, 2016. And we were kind of helping each other. So she was like giving me advice and I was giving her advice and I was still on the inside. But right after that, I had a teenager tell me that a foster parent was drinking and driving with him in the car. And my director and supervisor basically told me to cover for it. And so at this point, I'm thinking, all right, I've got to cover my back. So I start recording our conversations. John, I don't know if I told you that, but I have a lot of recordings. I start recording our conversations, and I didn't know anything about a whistleblower. I wasn't trying to be a whistleblower, anything like that. I was literally trying to cover my back because I told the caseworker, I told the supervisors, the foster parent admitted to drinking and driving with the kids in the car, and the CASA worker, all of them, and they were just like, what? They just weren't even. They didn't even care. So I was like, all right, I can't do this anymore. I've got to stop. So I was like, well, maybe I'll go into a different position. So every time something is happening, I'm going into a different position. So I quit. That was October of 2019, and I go to Family Ties. And this is where I become a transporter and a parent aid and behavior aid. And this is where it gets even weirder for me. So, I'm working as a transporter, and I have some cases. This is Gwinnett County. And one of the cases that I had, the mom had completed her case plan. And that when she completed it, they're like, all right, we're going to add some more things for you to do. And then they give her, they were going to send her to rehab for her prescriptions. So I she actually puts me in touch with, it was the senator's office in Hall County. And I asked for an audit of CPS. And I'm called into the office by my supervisors and directors. I am told that I have violated HIPAA. I'm told that I'm not allowed to go on DCF property. Okay. All my cases are taken from me. So it was just constantly like one thing after another. So that's when I finally stepped out of the system and created Rescue the Fosters. And that's how Rescue the Fosters was founded. And Danielle Hollum is the president of Rescue the Fosters. She was the first parent that I ever met with, but we have never found her son. We don't know where he is. We don't know if he's alive. We don't know. He was adopted out in 2019. No, I think 2018, actually. I think it may have been around 2018. But Rescue the Fosters was meant to help families be reunited with their children. Because, like Danielle said, we see these kids that are missing, but what about the children that were stolen by CPS and adopted out? What about those kids? Those are missing children. So, in my opinion, CPS is the biggest trafficker, not only through adoption, but also through group homes. 88% of sex trafficking victims come from the foster system. So basically, if we do away with foster care, we could abolish sex trafficking.
And
But
also, Sylvia, I just want to add that when you're talking about these subcompartmentalized agencies, DCF, CPS, DHHS, DHS, all of them are under the umbrella of HHS. And
Yep.
all of them are not government agencies. They're contracted through the government. These are not government employees. They have
Is that
zero.
NGO?
Yeah.
Well, exactly. They are in the guise and the ruse of NGOs, right? So they're non-government organizations. And
Yep.
because of that, they're labeled as a nonprofit. But all of them are making money. Every single one of them. The only
Yep.
thing that is not making, quote, money is the NGO itself.
Yep.
Welcome
That's it.
to human trafficking as a whole.
Yeah, that's it. That's it exactly. That's it exactly. So, and not only that, but once the children age out of the system, they're placed on the streets because the funding stops, right? So as soon as they turn 18, if they don't sign to stay in, then they're placed on the streets. So that's where a lot of the children is on the streets. And then within 2 years of leaving foster care, they end up in prison. And a lot of that is because they become institutionalized from living in group homes. They're on the streets and all they know is to survive. So that's another thing that Rescue the Fosters, that's one of our goals, is to help foster kids when they age out of the system to be successful, to have their own place where they're not ending up on the street. We reunited our first family in, oh gosh, when was this? This was just a few years ago, 2022. It was a former foster youth I found on the streets. And with the help of Terry with Let Our Children Go, we located his family. And he's with his family again. And she hadn't seen him since he was 6 years old. So it's basically one of our goals is to keep children off of the streets when they age out of the system, help them, because they're in survival mode. They don't even know where to go to get their documentation, to get ID, to apply for an apartment, to get a job. Like, they're just in survival mode. And then, reuniting with their families. We have a lot of calls that come in, and that's families fighting CPS currently, like they're working on their case. So it's trying to make sure that they stay reunited with their families. I tell you, I have some horrible cases, and it's worse than I ever thought it would be because of the falsifying of documents, the lying under oath, and there is no accountability for these caseworkers. So that's another goal of mine, is to start getting charges on these caseworkers that are falsifying documents and lying under oath and taking children. I have a client in New Hampshire, Chris Stevens. He's sitting in jail right now. The caseworker terminated his rights, adopted his daughter out, falsified documents, lied under oath, and when he said, "No, I have the proof, I videoed the visit that she lied about," the court refused to view the video. They charged him with wiretapping and stalking and harassing. So all the crimes that she did, they put on him. So that's one of the cases that we're working on right now. So we just need your support. We need your help. Chris, he's in good spirits. But there's so many different cases that are going on, and we've got to start holding these caseworkers accountable in order to get justice, because if we start getting them charged, then maybe they will stop falsifying documents and lying under oath. I feel like I'm forgetting something, John, but I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Can I ask a
Sure.
question, Sylvia? What could we do to help? Is there anything that we, the people, could do?
Yes, actually, I'm glad you asked, because, like sharing, the one thing that I noticed working in the system is that they don't like their crimes being put out in public. That is the number one thing. They do not want that. So like, I've posted videos about Chris's story. I recently posted my first recording, and y'all, if I'm speaking to a government employee, I am recording that conversation. So I have tons of recordings of government employees. I just released one recording. I haven't released any of them. I still have the ones that I have from when I was a caseworker. But if you put that out there, because they are supposed to be doing their job, they're not doing their job.
Grandma, you made it. I don't know.
So one thing also that I wanted to add is, were you done, Sylvia? Sorry, I just realized I might have just jumped in.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So one thing I wanted to add too is, if everybody, it's one thing to share something, but it's time to take action. What can we do? What are the steps? What are the things we can do? Bring awareness. That is the biggest thing you can do to help, number one. Aside from bringing awareness, how do you bring awareness? Take action. Start calling these people out. Grow a set of cojones and actually call them out. Bring awareness, but then take action. Write to your representatives, your parliament, whomever. You have to do steps that are small and bring them forth as awareness. Did you know this was going on? Pose it as a question, like you would in a space, like you would in a post, right? Pose it as a question. Remove the plausible deniability, because that is the biggest thing. And I just wanted to say hi to Gino and introduce him as well. Gino works very closely with Sylvia, and he has the Insight logo on his page right now. He has, really just not only kind of sacrificed so much for others selflessly, but has given so much to help and just be such an integral part of this. And I wanted to give my gratitude to you as well, Gino, and say thank you for all you do and all that you're doing and giving to help others as well. He does a podcast, and aside from the podcast, he just really, like I said, just tirelessly, brings awareness and a lot of solutions and options to help people get to the truth and seek the truth. So I appreciate you and all you do, and welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Hello, all. My name is Gino. I do host a channel called Insight on Rumble and also on Foxhole. And I was very naive to everything that was going on as far as trafficking through the government and its programs until I met Megan Walsh. And if you're not familiar with Megan, Megan is John Walsh's daughter from America's Most Wanted fame. And so that was my introduction to kids being stolen. He stole 4 of his grandkids from her. And I met Sylvia because Sylvia was Megan's advocate at the time. And when I met Sylvia, it really opened my eyes to what was really going on. I was, like I said, I was very naive. And I don't know, once your eyes are open, and I know everybody in this space can understand this. Once your eyes are open, you can never shut them again. And I just couldn't turn my back. For me, this is a hill to die on. I think, it's God and family and your country. And if they've already tried to take God away, and now they're trying to take our kids away. And if we're not gonna, if we're gonna sit back and sit on our hands and not do anything, we're complicit, I believe, in the crimes. And it's motivated me. And working alongside Sylvia and Danielle, and also, I don't know if Sylvia had mentioned KK. KK was also in the system, and she's part of Rescue the Fosters also. But yeah, I mean, I think awareness is the number one key. I've been stressing that from the beginning. I really believe if it definitely helps if you can share the broadcast and get us in the algorithms. We need more views. We need more eyes on it. But action is definitely where we're at this point in the movement. Thanks, John. Appreciate you.
John, I did want to say that on each of those posts that I post, I do put action steps on there, because you're so right. We have to call these people, and I do put the name of the person and their phone number and their email, and because if they're not receiving emails and they're not receiving calls, then we're not bugging them, and then it's just really easy for them. But we got to start holding them accountable. I just want to add that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what I mean by the term plausible deniability. It's something that the system as a whole, and Mott, you so perfectly led into this, and this is kind of where I want to bring it full circle. In HBO, I see you in here, but give me 1 second, we'll get to you. But it's so important. We're talking about action items, action steps, and different things that we can do to bring awareness. Sylvia, you couldn't hit it more spot on. If there's something hidden that we find out about, and now we know, the question we have to ask ourselves is, are we becoming a part of it? I myself, I couldn't imagine being, part of a systematic failure, a perpetuation of a system of control and perpetuation of a monetary one as well. It's their god. That is their god of this world, and it's money, and it's a system of oligarchy and control and ruling force. Children are monetized. That is their money-making scheme. It's all done through a certificate of sales, starting unbeknownst to them as a baby in the cradle. And as a matter of fact, it actually starts before that. So, what we are unaware of, now you're aware. Now you know, okay? So congratulations, you're in the space. Now what? Now you know. Now you need to take action and you need to bring awareness. And if we don't realize how this ties in so many things. I mean, there was a genocide and democide attempt on, the entire planet of things. And where do you think that starts? Where do you think it started? In the nursing homes. Why? Because they're taking out the elders. They're taking out the older generation. They're taking out the people with the wisdom. And then what? And then what do? They go after the children. And where are they after right now? The middle, right? Who are let's say the 30 to 50 range. Why? Because we're the parents. We're the ones who are trying to stand up and fight for our future generations. And this is the cyclical evil empire that does this over and over and over and over again. And we got to put an end to it. Break the chains that bond and bind us all, because their bondage is through a paper bond. And that's their securitization. That's their monetary enrichment to fulfill their lives, to fulfill their stock, because we're just livestock to them. They don't give a crap about us, our families, nothing. All they care about is their bottom line. So we need to call them out. We need to hold them accountable. And we need to start by bringing awareness to them. Take a clip from the space. I mean, you can get those little thumb drives super cheap now, a couple bucks, right? Put it on a thumb drive. Send a little note. It doesn't have to be all legal and lawful and prepared and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we're creating templates and we're doing, here's a little, shameless plug here, but we're doing what's called the Self-Governing Academy. So we're going to have all these templates available. We're going to have all of these, forms that people can use as a basis. It's a guideline. Take it, run with it, do what you want with it. It's free. It's yours to use. Cater it and tailor it to your family, your needs, your life, because it's yours, not mine. And we all need to do this. And we need to do this in our local area, starting with our local area first. Then, while eyes are on us, then we go to the top. We hit them at the federal level. Why? Because then whoever may be, quote, looking at us also, now they're going to be looking at them. So you want to make sure all the eyes are pointing to them as well as you. Why? Because we, as good people who just want to live our lives, provide for our families, earn a living, and live in peace, we do no harm to our fellow man and neighbor. We help our fellow man and neighbor. And this is what we need to do. We need to hold them accountable by informing them first. Then they can't hide behind what's known as plausible deniability, because plausible deniability is what the legal world loves to hide behind. Why? Because they create this oligarchy system of monetary benefit and perpetual gain, and they got to keep it moving forward. It's like the little engine that could, the Energizer Bunny of things, right? They got to keep it moving, and the only way they keep it moving is with our consent. So this is when we say, no, we consent no more, and we stop it right here by informing them, and we literally say, no, you cannot, you may not.
Amen.
End of rant.
Amen.
Joe, how you doing, buddy? Good to have you.
Good stuff, guys. And Sylvia, kudos to you, doing a great job. I just wanted to let you know I've had some conversations with some people that to look into that matter and in that part of Massachusetts that you were talking about. I'll give you an action item. Give everybody an action item here that this is a great way to go. You want to notice the court officer of whatever police department that is. Go to the court officer first. If you go to the chief or you go to the detectives or you go somewhere else, they all have to go to him eventually. But if you go to him first, he can't offload it. Then what he's going to do is he's going to take that hot potato and go, uh-oh, what do I do now? Then he's going to go back to the chief. He's going to go back to the detectives and the officers, and they're going to play with a hot ball and try to figure out what to do with it. But if you go to the court officer first and document that, and then you get your supporters to inundate that court officer with calls, you're going to cause a panic like you've never seen before. they're not going to know what to do, because typically the court officer is responsible for all that. That's his job. And if he brooms, a number of cases or doesn't look into things, it becomes obvious really fast. So that's what I would do. And then, the other part of it too is that town in Massachusetts, that chief just got changed out. That department has problems. I talked to somebody who knows that department pretty well, and I'll have an offline conversation with you about that too. But just want to let you know you're doing fantastic work, and some of this stuff is shocking to me too, because I dealt a little bit with this when I was working, but I really didn't know the inner workings of it. But I connected a couple of dots with some things that you said, so looking forward to talking offline about it later. But really good stuff. Keep up the great work, and we support you 100%.
Thank you, Joe. And I can't wait to talk to you about what you found out.
I think Tony has a question. Tony?
Yeah, first I want to thank John, Sylvia, and Gino, was it there, who is working with this, because you're working similar with me, but I'm doing this in Sweden, and I hide moms and their kids, and trying to hold off the people who wants to kill them, and I can't speak so much about it in this space, but I'm in the same situation as you are, and I do realize that we are working with this because we have a big heart, and we want to save the kids, save the children, and I'm my tears are dripping now when you speak about it, and thank you guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Sylvia, Gino,
One thing I do want
John?
to add, also, just big picture item is, these are obviously very close to home situations. This is what keeps us up at night. This is what tugs on the heartstrings. Keep in mind the history of this is so important. Why? When you talk about these NGOs, when you talk about these nonprofit organizations, these non-governmental organizations, it doesn't matter if you're in Sweden, if you're in the UK, if you're in America, if you're in Australia. Right now, currently, how things are set up, it is the uni party of things. So it's all done through what's known as the UCC code. UCC code is international. It is fluent. It makes things flow through the system of things. When you have a system that's ruled and controlled by statutes, codes, rules, regulations, policies, procedures. Did anybody hear the word law in there at all whatsoever? Exactly. That's the point, because it is not law. And if they use the word law, it's usually in the term under the term legal. So legal is not lawful. They are very different things. Legalities are not laws. There are laws based under legalities. That is their laws. So whether it be a monarchy, an oligarchy, a hierarchy, or a corporate system of things, it's all one and the same when you're dealing with a flow of workforce. So all of these departments, subcompartments, departments of this, subcompartments of that, it's all under a flow of a network. It is a network that is based on a systematic perpetuation and controlling force based on a top-level entity. Entity, not a man or woman, right? The only way they can keep us suppressed is to make us acquiescent, to consent. So when you have these non-government organizations, you have to vet them. The Red Cross being one of them. Why? Because guess what? What a better way. What a better way than not a logo, because the Red Cross is not a logo. It is an actual flag. When you fly the white flag, right, with the red cross on it. This is a sort of a, kind of a peace sort of armistice in a hot zone moment that they'll fly this. What a better way to swoop in some non-government organizations underneath this, right? What a better way to have these NGOs and all of these nonprofit organizations, make it look like they're doing such a great job. In the meantime, trafficking us, causing harm, stealing babies, and so on and so forth, ripping and destroying families. Why? Because they have to conquer from within, divide the nuclear family. There's a nuclear bomb for you. They have to destroy the nucleus of the family. And it starts from inside. We have to learn how to control our own home, and we have to learn how to get our own gates and barriers, how to do this, how to protect ourselves. Because if we stop consenting, remove the consent, if we correct the record, if we correct the things that were once done that now we know that we do not want to do, then it removes the consent, and they have nothing that they can hold on us. See, these oligarchies and these people who are in, quote, control, they think they're in control, but they only use fancy words. It's called dark magic, right? This is all part of their word magic game. So what they do is they use their fancy words and their legalese and their blah, 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 and their UCC this, and their send it by mail like that, and use the clear Visaline window, so you only have the eyes of the looking glass to look through, and blah, blah, blah. It's just a nonsense shit show. So if you remove that and say, you know what, I don't consent, going all the way back to the inception of birth, when I was born on this day, I do not consent. And the only thing I do consent to is with my wet ink autograph on this, not by the X, not by the dotted line, ... But it's a really, kind of a broad stroke that I just put there, but it's such an intertwining thing. It sort of creates the snare, the web, the internet, right? The snared net, the web of control. A lot of times when we use services, products, we think that we're just using a service. Like if you were to hire somebody to paint your house, well, we didn't realize that by that contract, through a lot of the government services or the NGOs or these affiliates or these subcontractors, because that's what they are, they're subcontractors of the government, that now we're bound to these rules, regulations, statutes, codes, policies, procedures of things. Weird, because they don't tell us that, do they? So, just be mindful of what you're obligating yourself to. And if you find out that you're obligated to something that you had no idea, just correct the record and all is well, because they are probably 100 times, actually not probably, they are by far more afraid of us coming together with this information. This is what they're trying to suppress. This is what they're trying to stop. They don't want us to have our own right. They don't want us to self-govern. That's why they use smear campaigns hosted by the FBI, like, I don't know, a sovereign citizen. Wasn't a bigger oxymoron out there if I've ever heard one before. You can't be sovereign and citizen at the same, one fell swoop. So, they love to use these things. But if you refute and rebut any of these false narratives and claims, all is well. So this is, kind of big picture wrapping up, and I'll kind of shut up there because I see a couple hands. But, it does tie in a lot of these things, and it doesn't stop unless we stop it.
Absolutely. I just wanted to add in real quickly. This has been going on a long time. I was watching some videos, just on YouTube, and the Boys Town story. It's an old story. It's the same story repeating itself. You guys remember that story? It was old. It's just obviously nothing was ever done about it. And something needs to be done. All eyes on HPO.
Yeah, thank you, Sylvia. Just wanted to ask you a question. Do you know, in your running into other people and during that job, do you know that were they using the same tactics in other locations, or was that just a tactic that you ran across at your place?
Who did you ask?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was
Sylvia?
asking Sylvia.
Oh, I
Yeah,
think she's reconnecting. Give her a minute.
yeah, I was just curious because you know, for everybody in the room here, if you haven't seen the podcast that that John did last night with Sylvia, you got to check that out. That is probably the most disturbing factual based information I've seen on adrenochrome since I've been looking into this stuff for 30 years. It shows the industrialization, the compartmentalization, and how sophisticated this really is. Because John will tell you, I've been beating myself up a little bit just coming in contact with some of this information and looking back and going, how the hell did I miss this stuff when I spent 12 years at the highest level of law enforcement doing pretty much everything and didn't come across any of this. So the only way that's possible is if this is super sophisticated and highly compartmentalized. I'm just curious to hear if Sylvia's run into other people that have heard that same MO, how they do this stuff. Because when I was a whistleblower and the stuff I blew the whistle on, if the tactics work, they use them over and over again, and they probably still use some of the tactics that I blew the whistle on because they're very effective. So just kind of curious.
I got thrown out, so I don't know if there was a question for me.
Would you mind repeating the question? Just so that Sylvia could answer it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Sylvia. I just wanted to know: did you run into other caseworkers that ran across similar tactics, like in other places or whatever? Because kind of what I stumbled across is if they're using tactics that are working, like you said, that like a high pitch or high pressure sales. If it's working, they're gonna use it everywhere. So, have you seen those same tactics or heard of those same tactics used in other places?
So I'm actually the only social worker that has ever come out and for adoption. Like with Chris's case, at the if you look at the Title 4E funding and their incentive for an adoption, and you can actually pull the checkbook for Massachusetts. The caseworkers are making $110,000 a year. That's a caseworker, and I requested the FOIA for the incentives that they were receiving. Of course, the commissioner said that, oh no, they don't receive incentives, that 100,000 a year is actually overtime. Well, I call BS because I was making 30,000 a year and I was not with the program. Okay. So there is an incentive that the attorney that I'm working with, he said, yes, there is an incentive for children, and that is through grants and funding. Of course, they're going to deny it. And I did record this commissioner as well. But when I was working as a transporter and I asked for an audit, it was the commissioner that tried to get me fired because I asked for that audit. And it makes you wonder, why wouldn't you want to do an audit on DCF if a social worker is asking and they're seeing what's going on? Why wouldn't you want that audit? So I'm actually the only social worker that's ever come forward and said, yes, we have quotas. But I don't know if there are, I really don't
No,
know,
that
to
is
be
the
honest
tactic
with you.
because it's the overtime is used, robustly in many different, professions. But yeah, if you see, dozens and dozens, most people think caseworkers make very little. They think they're on the low totem pole. So if you have caseworkers, lots of caseworkers making, 100K plus a year, there's your smoking gun right there.
Exactly.
Andrew, you had your hand up. Did you have something to add?
I just wanted to talk about one of the tactics they use to conceal this. What they do is called hemisynchronization. And if you can get enough of humanity to think on the
Can you
same
hear me,
thought
Andrew?
process.
You might be having some trouble. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to grab a mic, raise your hand, because this is a really important topic. feel free to come on up and ask a question. There you go, Andrew. Go ahead, Andrew.
I can't remember what I was saying now. It's gone. It's gone. Probably the same thing I've said for the last 3-4 years, but yeah, it's gone at the moment. I'll remember.
It'll come back. It'll come back. No worries. Welcome, Luna. Welcome, Luna.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Sylvia. Thank you, Tish, for the mic. Hi, John, Gino, everybody here. Some old familiar faces.
I'm sorry. Don't know what happened.
We have some really bad technical issues in this space. So we just have to live with that for the moment being. I assume that we have sound problems for them back, and it probably will crash, actually. I guess so, Tish. Then we need to restart it. So to all the great listeners, we're sorry for that, but obviously we are talking about stuff that will, cause some irregularities on the interwebs, as per usual, maybe, but this time it's been, on our side here back in Mordor. This is midnight in Mordor, actually. So we have some real bad technical issues. But hang on there. Welcome, Luna. Hopefully, Luna Lioness. Hopefully we can, roll along here. I am on a new unit now. I've been able to listening in all the time. I really appreciate what Sylvia is putting out here. I could hear Tony. I know Tony a little bit, at least here from the X platform. He is a true fighter. He's been in this for a long, long, long time. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please do remember that the first merchant of that price in 1901, this is the world's longest ongoing PSYOP. This is the merchant of that price, the Nobel Prize, goes to the Red Cross. The Red Cross and the world's largest and dominant telecom patent holder, controlling the telecoms in 184 countries. They have an ongoing deal with the Red Cross ever since, because they are the same ones that hands out and controls the Nobel Prize. This is the same people. There's just a few of them. They also run your 911 numbers in the US. They control the CPC emergency telephone for the kids to call in. They have it all. They also sit on the telecoms for the 3 and 4 letter agencies, all of them. So imagine putting all that information power. They sit on the telephones handed out to the refugees. They for sure can handle, well, maybe not these days with regards to the Space Force, whatever, but they have been, able to run the satellite phones. They have their own satellites, just like Mr. Elon on this platform. So this is the competition. Elon is the competition. Elon is the alternative when it comes to certain parts of the tech side. Not all of them, but when it comes to the satellite thing, Elon is the alternative. So please remember that this goes way, way back. 1901, Nobel Peace Prize to the Red Cross. The Red Cross had been, you can check out, the article is in the Jumbotron. Please, before this space crash, go in, bookmark these articles. There are a lot of reading from Sylvia, and please join the Rumble channel from earlier speaker. Check those out, bookmark them, because when this space probably will go boom, and then you will have a hard time finding all of those articles. Please follow the secretary, go into her profile, bookmark her pinned tweet, because you will find most of this stuff there. So if you only search on her profile if you can remember a search word or whatever, you can find the article and share it with your friends or read it again or whatever. But please do this, because this space is having some technical difficulties. I'm pretty convinced that it will go down. So Tish, be aware, you have 60 seconds when it goes blank. With that said, please.
On a positive note, I did not get the message yet. Knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood. But Luna's back. Luna, did you want to add something, sweetheart?
Yeah, thank you so much. I actually was walking in from the rain outside, so maybe it was me and this weather in Florida. But Sylvia, so good to hear your voice and your testimony, which is so important. I didn't know that Chris was in jail. And one thing that I can suggest is that he do a writ of habeas corpus. John knows what that is and maybe could assist with getting that written. That's something that a friend of ours, the oppressor, did when he was there. And the other thing is that John was mentioning the UCC. I'm at the point right now where I'm filing a non-UCC 3, and I'm using the case number. So this has been going on for a while, and that's what they like. They like to keep you in the court system because they get money off your bonds when you're in there, whether it's you, whether it's the family, whoever it is. Like Sylvia was saying, the more problems you have, the more money they get, and the more money they get, the more reason they want to keep you there. So they're not going to release you to a bio family, because if they did, the bio family doesn't get paid in the system. And that's why they keep you in foster care. I just want to mention that on November 17th, 2022, I had a pen thrown at me by the DA in Canadian County, Oklahoma, who said, if only you lived in Canadian County. And what that told me, it stunned me like a scorpion. And I didn't realize what that meant. But the Title IV money flows through the county. That's why what Sylvia was saying earlier about the county commissioner, I think you said, Sylvia, was the title, that was being the resistance in that particular situation. It's because that's how the money flows. It flows through the county. So going back to the pen thrown at me and what Sylvia's saying, now you know it's on the county level. I will tell you one quick story that happened. The mayor of my town was a GAL. And if you don't know what that is, it's a guardian ad litem. And that was her job for many, many years. And she was talking to me. She knew my story, and she told me a story. And this is only from her words, this is her words. So there was a child right before COVID that was taken, and he was an only child. However, he came from a huge family that lived in Maryland. There were like 11 brothers and sisters, blah, blah, blah. So when the child was picked up by CPS here in Florida, it went into a kinship situation, and the sister of the bio parent got the child, and she was very frustrated. And at some point on a Zoom, because we were doing Zooms at that time, she said, you know what, why don't you just come get him? And they did. They came within hours, came and picked up the child, and the next day the child was adopted out to a family that had no children. Now, the whole family in Maryland was fighting for this child, fighting tooth and nail. But the next day, the child was adopted out, never to see that family again. And what happened was she got frustrated. She said something to them, and they already had people lined up to adopt this child. How does that happen? So the network is so vast and so huge, and it is at the highest levels. Okay. Now, in my situation, where they brought my granddaughter back to a home that was quote
Luna,
unquote,
it's one big club.
it's one big club and you ain't in it. That's true, John. And it's all about the money. Follow the money. And it's really sad. But in my situation, there was a drug overdose that happened to the quote unquote safe family that my granddaughter was given back to. And this was around Father's Day. So now we're looking at that. And now I have Florida investigators on the story. But I told you so. I told you so 2 years ago. And now we're here. They don't care about you unless they're making money off your back. So everybody, if you can advise somebody to do a non-UCC, this is the avenue that I'm going down because I've exhausted everything, and use the case number as the contract number. I think maybe that might yield some results, and maybe that will help Chris out. I don't know. But we need to just keep on brainstorming and finding some kind of way to crack this whole thing open. And once it happens, it's already happening because there were 1,300 foster kids that came and did a lawsuit in New Hampshire. Oklahoma has a case now open. Like, it's happening. It can't happen fast enough for me and for people like Chris and other people that have had this happen to them. But we need to keep on just tapping away at this until the dam breaks. And Sylvia, you're doing great work. Gino, and you guys have been at the darkest times. You guys were like the light at the end of the tunnel. And I can't tell you how much you guys mean to me. So I'll leave it there. But everybody, thank you for the space. Tish, love you. I am doing a lot of studying on getting this stuff right because I'm tired of being being used monetarily because of how the system is set up. That's what got me into the whole space of correcting your status or changing, your situation was this DHS, CPS, however you want to call it. So thank you guys. Thank you for the mic, Tish.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Luna.
Luna.
And it brings up the question, what's in a name, right, Mott?
Yeah,
Because when you have a systematic control in the NGOs and all of these things, they're no different than us. They use our names against us. You want to go back to the inception of the fraud? Go back to the name and how they stylize it. Why are they charging children? Why is this happening? It's because it's an account. It's an estate. It's an interest-bearing account, and it's all about the money. Follow the money.
yeah, it truly is. And as Luna very adequate, pointing out that it's the county where the money flows, and this is let's just say that the world's first central bank is out of order and it has grown on us, and it all through all nefarious wars and everything. But when the first private bank in a modern shape of banking is also, of course, out of Mordor, and this is the through and through oligarchy family in 1856. In 1860, and remember in 1871 you get Hayek. So in the 1860s, when actually the Russian Navy is trying to save the US in 1863 during the Civil War, 1864, the Russians, believe it or not, their naval fleets, almost the whole of their fleet, is going to the east coast of the US and trying to keep the East India Company heritage out, or the East India Pirates out of the Civil War. This is crazy stuff. In the same time, back in Mordor, the counties, or corresponding to the counties, are going commercial by law, by Mordorian law, where the seafarer law is activated down to the county level, so you can start interfering in people's lives. This will cause a mass migration from Mordor. In 1882, the peak is there. During the industrialization era of the US, the big countries are, of course, in the millions getting into the US. But the small country of Mordor is losing a quarter of their people. And that's 1 million and even more that actually sees this, with the commercialization, the commerce being put in commerce here in Mordor. This will happen later on, of course, in the US, a little bit later on, but it's, in lockstep with the Fed, you could say. And it will take the full-blown evil Stockholm bureaucracy after the talking about whistleblowers, after the non-successful coup d'etat by trying to get the World War I veterans with Smedley Butler as their leader to take the US to be a fascist country with a dictator. This is actually a true plan. They actually tried to do that, but instead they had to do it the sneaky way. And so they did. You are put in commerce, you are put under the maritime or the admiralty law. It is the admiralty law, or actually old Viking seafarer law. And what makes this all possible is that included in that and granted to the East India Company, which today is like Vanguard, BlackRock, investor. It went through IG Farben, American IG, Swedish IG, very roughly speaking, because this is the art of cloaking working and the art of, shadow banking and so on and so forth. But it is the same players. It is the modus operandi. So
and Mott, it's essentially the international inception of all the commercialization, because we went from a free trade type market to now a commercialized world at that point.
Yeah. The 76 was all about actually getting rid of the East India Company. This is they've been doing this for a long time, and they, which the people always refer to as they, not telling who it is. We are a few that actually tells who it is. It is the Swedish investor, it is Vanguard, it is BlackRock, it is Morgan, it is Schiff, it is, these families, and, they come and go, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and so on, which is sort of, well, they are still around, but they are not the ones that have, keeping the pace up for the elites. So, in 1670, this is 2 years after the world's first central bank, the East India Companies granted the ability to mint money, and they have stuck with it. The heritage of the East India Company have been, still doing the money printing. This is what the private banks are doing. They are creating the monetary, and therefore they have to incorporate the counties, the government inside this scam, where somebody is buying your time, stealing your children with money printed out of nothing as the lubricant for doing all of this in this great Ponzi scheme that we are in, and the nefarious outcomes of it. which we are talking about here today. So thank you very much, Luna, for pointing that out. It is the commercial side of it, evil commercial, I should say, to put it correctly. With that said, I can see Noah is coming up as a speaker. Now I got problems again. I rest my case for a while. Oh, here we go, up and down. Well, yeah, okay, we survived that one.
Yeah, we lost that link, but he'll pop back in.
Yeah. This is gonna end with the crash. I'm just saying. So far, so good. This has been a great space. Thank you very much, Tish, Jan, Secretary. I'm crashing out again. Oh, this is strange days. Okay, Tish.
Crashing into the space like the Cheddar G's Moon of Mordor.
Yeah, this is crazy shit. It has been worse than this, but this is a crazy. Anyways, let's hope that John, you carry on this one. I will mute myself. I will crash my banged up old J29, the barrel cold, actually, straight into the Malvin Castle, loaded with some sticky, stinky, boiling Nobel Peace Prize, the merchant of that prize, dynamite. The creator of the Nobel Prize, giving the first Nobel Prize to the Red Cross for the nefarious things that some parts of the Red Cross are doing. And that is a commercial company. It is in commerce. It's not a governmental organization. It is a corporation. The Red Cross is a corporation. Think about that. And the stakes and the pays for the upper echelons of the Red Cross are really well paid for looking the other way or creating the bad situations. John, go ahead.
Thanks. Sorry, I was stuck there for a minute. Yeah, thanks, Matt. And also I want to say too, on the commercial end of things, the reason why they don't mention any other options is because that's the option. That's the way to get out. So if there was an incorporated way of doing something, maybe there's an unincorporated way. Just throwing it out there. It's something to think about. It's something to really recognize and realize with your own two real eyes. Because once you hear and you see things a little bit differently, you realize, this is interesting. I grew up in a world where I was told what to do, how to do it, this, that, and the other. It's like single file line when you're in grade school. It's like we were militarized from the get-go. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to have manners, and it's not a bad thing to be polite, and it's not a bad thing to do certain things. But it's the fine line between complacency and acceptance versus knowing that other options. And I always say it's not the 95% that they told us that's the problem. It's the 5% they left out. That's the hidden hand of secrecy. That's the sorcery. That is the black magic of things. Why? Because it's the shh. It's the quiet. Don't tell nobody. It's the secrecy of the system. So if you live in a world where you govern yourself and your family, and you have a life that's peaceful and private, non-combative, they don't like that. And they don't want us to know how to do that and how to live that way. So with that, I will yield my mini rant of global head cheese. Bobby, go ahead, buddy.
I finally got it figured out. I was having issues with my internet. But anyway, I'm I'm sitting here. I caught most of what you said. I missed the accolades about the song, but the song is fabulous. Desperado, you went off the hook, man. That was incredible. So I sent him some more lyrics. Let's see what he does with them if he so chooses. But I had an idea, and if you didn't mind, I was just going to sing one for you.
Did we lose you, Bobby?
No, I'm saying, is it okay?
Of course.
See if we can get this. Between the stratosphere and the ditch, the lowly and the rich, gold makes all the rules for aristocratic fools. Oh, but the atmosphere is changing, yes it is. Peace is on the rise, peace on the rise. Your priest makes all the rules, monks play you like fools. Jesuits, Mossad control the war. They decide who lives and dies each day, and then they just look away, look away. All about the money and the love of it, all the love of it. Oh yes, the love of it. Oh, the love of it. Oh, it's all about that power. Oh, it's all about that power. All the love of it. The love of it. You wonder sometimes, is it real? It seems like surrender your mind the way it swirls around. You wonder sometimes, will he ever get it? Or is it just the same we hold in our mind? Oh, the atmosphere is changing, yes it is. Peace is on the rise. Oh, it's all about the money the love of it will rule you every time, every time.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bobby.
Great job, Bobby. Thank you.
For the love of it. That is what all the gatekeepers keep on telling us. Love the monetary system. You shall love us. You shall love the monetary. This is the Ponzi scheme, and they are, well, from top level to the oligarchs, from the real oligarchs to the sub-oligarchs, to the politicians, to the gatekeepers, the influencers. They have one job only, actually. That is to keep the trust in the monetary system. And this is not working out that good anymore. It is changing, and so are humanity. In one way or another, this will turn out to be the time of enlightenment. And hopefully we'll have a jubilee year. And we could talk about those for a little while, but we don't need to. The affidavit of Sylvia and, well, Gina also speaking, Luna also speaking about this. It's been great because you cannot avoid it. And we are putting well, we are putting the buck where it needs to be. Well, the buck as in the dollar, not maybe as in the. Doesn't really matter. Bobby, you are wrapping this conversation up with telling us in your way, with those beautiful words, beautiful song, that it is the love of money that is a fake one, as you clearly state. It is beautiful to hear, and hopefully people will understand hearing your smooth voice telling them how it is. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby, and thank you to all the speakers. Your bravery for speaking out. We wouldn't know half of what we know unless you were so brave to tell us your stories. Thank you so much. Please follow all the wonderful speakers for the information to, follow through and share, which is really, really important. We will reconvene Thursday at 4:15 Eastern Standard. And if you have any questions, please DM me or anyone up here on top. We'll answer any questions you have. I think we have one question. Death to door number 19.
Hello, can I speak?
Yes, you're online now.
Yeah, so I just came because this title, trafficking. So is this about human trafficking? If yes, then I'm a victim of that. I would like to speak on that.
We are wrapping up, but what
It,
you could do is DM me, and the next time we have a space, and I'll directly link up with you to get your story out. So please DM me.
okay.
Are you following me? I'm gonna follow you right now.
Right, 1 minute, I'll check. Yeah, I'm following you.
Perfect,
So
because I'm following you, and
can I
well,
sorry?
the hosts, the speakers are running late. It's very late in Sweden right now, so we're wrapping it up just
I'm in
now.
UK,
I'm so
London.
sorry. Yes, I'm so sorry. But we are wrapping it up right now. Like I said, DM
Okay,
me and
okay.
I'll host a space just to tell your story if you'd like.
That's very nice of you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. God bless you and God bless everyone for coming. Thank you guys, and please follow up. Follow all the speakers, retweet all of their information. We gotta get the word out. These are our children. God bless everyone, and we will see you next Thursday. Love
Thank you
y'all.
all so much. Good
Love
evening,
you. Bye.
good night, and good morning.
And good evening in Mordor. God bless. Love y'all. Have a good night,
Love you.
morning,
Bye.
afternoon.